up, guys? Tambo here with your Week 4 core report. Our cores have been on fire this season, and our guy Hoop nailed the Week 4 strategy, stacking up the Lions and Seahawks game. Hoop went cheap at quarterback, rostering Geno Smith with the double stack of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. He then went full onslaught for the game by adding Jamal Williams, TJ Hawkinson, and Josh Reynolds from the Detroit side. Hoop topped off his lineup with several one-offs, including Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and the Eagles D, racking up a score of 252 DraftKings points with a unique lineup that actually took out a 33-man dupe train, shipping the Hoopster $1 million in the Week 4 Millie Maker. Several of the players from Hoop's lineup appeared in his core plays and cash player pool provided to our premium members, who also had some pretty big weeks. MC won over 3K on DraftKings, Raholman hit for over 5K, Nika hit for over 6K, and Chase Addy NC shipped for over $45,000 on FanDuel. And Hoop isn't the only expert to hit big recently. JT Hayes hit for $20,000 in MLB last week. Big T hit once again, profiting over $33,000 on the NFL Week 4 afternoon slate. And our guy Locks had a huge night, shipping for over $213,000 on the Sunday Night Showdown slate. You can watch all of our experts for free by visiting our YouTube channel and subscribing right now. For our premium content, where you can access all of our core plays, playbook, Discord, premium videos, and more, visit runpuresports.com and sign up for a membership today. At RPS, every sport is included for one low price. Sign up for our premium membership today, and let's keep running pure. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka Toe Tag and Tambo, back for another edition of the Run Pure Sports Strokes Gain Show for the swing season, here for the Shriners Children's Open. Got the latest NFL Millie Maker winner with me. I was fortunate enough to do a show with them yesterday, so it's 2 times for me, but if you're just joining us, we appreciate it. Hit that like button on the way in. Hit that like button for the Millie Man, Hoop 2410 himself. Hoop, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Yeah, doing well. It was like a 3-day bender, basically, that came to an end last night. So I was still feeling a little rough this morning. But the nice thing is, I usually, if I'm like not feeling great, I don't make my way to the gym. I'm like, you know what? I'm just sitting this one out. Made it to the gym both days, despite being in the middle of, like I said, a 3-day thing. Had a golf outing on Saturday where I hit it pretty hard. Obviously, Sunday, when I won the Millie, hit it super hard. And then had some friends and family over last night to kind of celebrate and also hit it hard. But now I'm like going to be just sucking down water and propels for the next 3 days so I can start to feel a little bit better. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But like always, we always talk about here, back to the grind. And obviously here we're breaking down this PGA event here in swing season.
Yeah, you're right. And we're breaking down something last week, by the way. RPS members shipped it for $100,000. So congrats to them. They're in our Discord showing it off. A lot of big winners elsewhere.
Surprise. Yeah, so it's like literally every contest, every sport. It's like it's not getting crazy at this point.
Oh, it's incredible. Like you said, G Ryzen in the chat. I seen the picture last night.
Came over, G
Ryzen, nice.
Yeah, me and G Ryzen had some beers. He was drinking some Coronas at a rate of probably like 3 or 4 per hour, I'd say. He puts them down quick.
Yeah, that's good, man. Just you're keeping up. And by the way, too, our guy Nades threw it in the chat. Nades knows, I always say it, but two Millies, too. Back-to-back days, you shipped the Millie.
Correct, yeah.
995K short of the previous day yesterday, but man, you just keep shipping Millies. I forgot about that too. So the bender's over, but the DFS heater continues.
Yeah. I was hoping it held. Actually, I had all the teams. Like I had a team that was winning right before like that last drive, and that was like 12,000. So it was split way less. I'm like, come on, like let me just win this. It'd be the perfect tweet to send out, back-to-back Millie wins, and it came true. One Millie win was $1 million. The other one, what, 5,800?
Yeah. Thing is, though, the one on Sunday was a B grade. So yesterday, with all those chops, I got to give it like a C minus. Unfortunately, sorry about that with the optimal, but all done. We can move on. Let's talk some golf. Let's do it. Like I said, we got more shows coming up. We're going to have, I think, around 2 Eastern, give or take. Same channel, same place. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like. It helps us out a ton, but it's going to be myself, Big T, and JSU going through that review show. We don't need to do Circle Jerk Season 2.0. We've done it a lot so far. We're just going to keep winning. We talk about it all the time. Win with us or watch us win. That's what's happening right now. It's not ending. It's not changing. All sports, one price. We're going to have some NBA content coming out this week. Some free, our Trust the Process series that we've done for NFL and MLB. We're going to run it back for NBA. NBA's launching. I believe it starts, the small slate kickoff is like the 18th, I think. And then the main slate, the big one to really kick off the season is on the 19th. So lots of stuff coming up. Again, remember when you sign up at Run Pure Sports, all sports, one price. Hoop. We've got the Shriners Children's Open, TPC Summerlin. They play this course a lot. We know what it is, right? It's, bigger greens, easier course. Guys can get it. Lots of guys in here. We're still in the swing season. We had a Canadian boy last week, one of your Canadian boys. Not really one of your boys, but he was a Canadian boy, Mackenzie Hughes, get the job done in a playoff over Sepp Straka last week. The last time Sepp Straka was in a playoff was in the playoffs against Willie Z. When Willie Z took him down, I was there live in Memphis. So unfortunate for him to go down twice, but let's dive into it, man. What are your first thoughts on this slate as we get into it? We'll go through the tiers in a second, but just thoughts on the course, any overall strategy, things that you want to bring up first.
Yeah, and the first thing that just kind of stands out to me, and obviously this is a first look for me. I've been preoccupied with other things, as you can imagine. A typical swing season event where we got some names up top, some guys that have a good chance of winning, and then it falls off like super, super quick. And once we go through and break it all down, I mean, again, at first glance here, I think there's a pretty clear route to go when you're building your teams. Nice to see some of these guys like Griot. I just pulled up from last week. Again, didn't follow it super close. Continues to play really well. This Montgomery continues to play well. So yeah, easy course here. But we're always here just to kind of pick some of these winners.
Yeah, I love that call. And like you said, that's the other thing. I think it's going to be a pretty prevailing strategy for most anyway. But again, it's all how you play with it. And I think the guys up top are the ones we want to get after, and then just skip some of these guys, avoid the FOMO. Some of them are going to hit in that middle range, but this is sort of your favorite strategy every tournament anyway. And now it sort of looks like the perfect spot to execute it. So let's jump right into it. Like I said, you can look at it, what we're doing here. I've got what I think are better ownership numbers than most people have. Nothing right now. I just make my own, but I've got a good feel for where it's at to get some of those takes in. Roster construction, we'll talk about that. And then of course, going through the tiers. But let's jam in this top range, Hoop. Let's go 9,500 and up, or Grillo. Let's go 9,300 and up with Grillo up to Cantlay, because I think this is the main portion of what we want to be talking about here. So you go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you definitely want exposure up here for sure. I mean, this is once we start dropping down, I mean, the names, I mean, they go quick. I mean, you got Ricky Flower is 7.8K and he's just a disaster. So you go to the top here. Cantlay's like 6-1 to win this event. He's 11.1K, should be way more expensive. Someone 6-1 should be far more expensive than 11K. If he wants to come out and dust his field and win the whole thing, he can probably do it. What's the motivation? Who knows? But he's clearly the class of this field, and the guy right behind him has been playing phenomenal golf too, and Max Homa. So that's right there up top. That's where I want to start a lot of teams, with Cantlay, Homa, not necessarily both of them together, but one of those anchoring a majority of my teams. For me personally, I do think there's a little bit of a drop off to Sungjae. I will have some Sungjae, but if I can't get enough Homa and Cantlay, I'd be willing to maybe get off of Sungjae. Aaron Wise to me is overpriced at 9.9K, so not a ton of interest in him. Tom Kim, though, man, like you just got to play Tom Kim. I don't even care. I don't care what the price tag is. I'm in on Tom Kim, in on him long term. Just a great guy, doing all the right stuff, hanging out with the good guys on tour. I'll be on Tom Kim. Montgomery showed up last week. He's a guy that I think all of us are pretty high on moving forward. And then Griot, I mean, it's an uncomfortable price tag, but there's no denying how well he's played recently. So I'm on a lot of these guys up top. I think a lot of people will. These will be some of the highest owned guys in the field. But man, like the win equity in this event, I think a majority of it resides in this tier that we're talking about right here.
Yeah, and so we're similar, and then we switch gears. I'll go through it, but just a quick note, like I mentioned this last night on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast with my guy Kenny, made some changes to my thoughts already. That's why you want to follow me throughout the week, sort of just guide it, and ownership guides a lot of what I do in the swing season, so I put some numbers to it today. But just real quick, course history at this course, Hoop, has been like, if you've been really good here, so Cantlay, 8th, second, and a win. That's his history here. You don't really have the drop. Sungjae won it last year, 13th the year before that, 15th the time he played it before that. You go to these guys, they all these histories stay pretty much the same, but then you have guys that haven't played it. Tom Kim, Taylor Montgomery, they have never played it here in a tournament fashion, at least. So the point would be there. Debutants have been able to find their way through, and they could, but this is where I see it a little bit differently. I'm with you on Cantlay. I can put Cantlay to like 30%. And I still have him as one of the best plays on the board, if not the best. So like, it's just a decision.
Yeah.
I'll
Could
probably
be an all-in. Maybe it's an all-in week. Honestly, I mean, I've done that before, where you just plug it in, and then guess what? If he ends up winning, you're golden, and you can really spread some things out. If you just go in and lock in Cantlay, you can get exposure to a lot of other guys. Find that right combination. You're gonna have more combinations than everyone out there. Maybe that's the move.
Well, good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say, I'm not an all-in guy, but if I even went to 65% or something, last night I was thinking I don't even want him because of ownership. When I started plugging my numbers together, it actually didn't even matter. He still just graded out. It's like you said, The biggest factor is the 6-1, 6.5 to 1, whatever book you're looking at. And the fact they're making him almost the same price as these other guys. It just doesn't, he should be 12.5. They just don't do that with their pricing. So that's where the difference comes in. But what I was going to say is, you'll see when we get to that lower 7K range later, even the mid-range in the 7s, there's just so many guys that you can pepper throughout there. And the more Cantlay you have, and if he comes through with one of these second, first, 8th place type finishes, even though he's the most expensive, it's also what he does. You and I are, talk with us. You're the best at bringing this up. When we go through this range, at the highest price and the highest ownership, he has to win. No, what if Homa, Wise, Tom Kim, all these guys?
That's like, man, I'm so like, I feel like honestly, you and I are the only people that speak like that in the golf like industry. Like, everyone else says, oh, well, if I play this guy up top, and he doesn't finish top 10, like it's not worth it. It could be worth it if Homa fails, if fails, if Tom Kim fails, Montgomery fails, Brio fails. Cantlay finishing 10th is still a good play, so it matters. Now, if Cantlay finishes 10th and you locked him in and Max Homa wins the event, then yes, it's not going to work out. But man, like, it's the wrong way to look at it for sure.
I agree. And like, that's why, like I said, too, if you take the approach, like I said, I don't go all in. Let's say you get 65% Cantlay, and let's say he gets even more steam and gets up to 35, you still have 30% over the field. You still have more combinations than most with the guys we'll talk about later. And that means you can do whatever you want with your other 35% of your lineups. You can have Homa lineups to hedge off. You can have some lineups, whatever you want there. One thing I will say, I'm a Sungjae truther. Big T and I even have the bet, him versus Matt Fitzpatrick. It did not go well at the U.S. Open, but other tournaments, they've been fairly close. And I still like to go after him here, and he's obviously the defending champ. All those factors, he'll get a little bit of love either way, but I still have him as a good play too with that love. So I like him. I'm with you on the Aaron Wise thing. The ones that I have a challenge with now, though, are actually our boys, who I love them. But man, Tom Kim at almost 10K now. Insane.
You're going to have some. You'll have some.
I don't think I can, man. Honestly,
seriously,
he's 9,700 here.
Man,
that's just nuts. And I know he's got the extra hype and the love for President's Cup. He made me a lot of money President's Cup week, making that little 7-foot comebacker that we needed to keep that battle alive with Homa. Even though he lost on 18, I needed him to get to 18, and he made that 7-footer for me. He's very good, incredible talent. Taylor Montgomery's, though, is the same to me. Who Brillo, these guys, man, I almost want to put like Cantlay and drop down and just play the two at the top.
Again, I mentioned that with like how if, I have to sacrifice Cantlay and Homa, I do like your thoughts on so I'm going to, bump him a little bit more. But this tier what I said applies to this tier too. If playing guys in this range means I get less Cantlay or Homa or now I'll bring them back down. Don't get me wrong. Like, these are not, to me, core plays by any means. The guys above are probably the core guys. So if I have to come off them a little bit, I definitely will. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. That's what I like. And the other thing is, the bottom of this range, again, guys I maybe play more than most, but I think they get overlooked. And again, they're going to seem overpriced. but it all depends on who you are, how you feel about it, how you look at things. I think Tom Kim is way overpriced for this field. Like I said, at almost 10,000. And I love the kid. I've been on him since way back. I've been on him at 6,300 when we played him back at the Open, like before people were even talking about it.
You were on him first. It feels like really bad mojo to fade Tom Kim.
Yeah, our guy Kurt will have lots of them, so I'm not too worried. Someone will bring up the helm there if I go away from my boy. But I'm just saying, like the guys at the bottom, Cam Davis, Noren, Brian Harman, when we get to 8,900 in this type of field, like they can get there. Just have to get up there, score, get it close, make birdies. Like these guys can do that, and they're gonna get overlooked. So for me, the guy at the top is, like I said, Cantlay, some Homa for sure. You know, the stuff, like I said, maybe even play a couple of those guys paired together and then dropping down to like Davis, Noren. Once I put the ownership in, they're not going to get any ownership. So they just become better plays down in this range. You get good leverage.
It's bad pricing on the guys up top. I mean, if you plug in Cantlay and you're still left with 7,125. Like you're not even like full dumpster diving at that point. There's like legit guys down there. Svensson, 7,200. You know, I like me some Svensson. So yeah, it's just really bad pricing on these top end guys. And like I said, I just really think a lot of the win equity is up here for sure.
Yeah, it has to be. Like I say, that's for sure. And with Cantlay, once you go there, you're kind of stuck into that anyway. So I agree with you there. Not much else in this 9K and above. Let's drop down. Let's go Keith Mitchell at 8,000 up to Brian Harman. Hoop, what are you doing here in this 8K range? Because like I said, it's going to go overlooked because of what we just said. Yeah, but maybe it should, right? That's everything we just talked about.
Yeah, it's a tough range. I mean, for me, there's no like core plays in this range or guys that I'm strongly prioritizing. I'm good with Harman at 8-9. Riley, it looks like he had a pretty good finish last week. Again, I didn't follow it super close. He had 19th. He had been playing very poorly. So you do like to see that. I think he is a guy long-term that we'll figure it all out. Good to have some exposure to him and Pendrith as well. So those three, I do want to get some exposure to. Then it kind of falls off for me. Not going to be on Siwoo or Mean Dean, Denny McCarthy. I do like Poston at 8-3. I like McNeely at 8-1. So those are two guys down there. Fair price tags. I mean, basically the average cost of a roster spot. So you're not really sacrificing much if you do play them. So Poston, McNeely. And then, Harman, Riley, Pendrith are fine plays. But again, if I can't get a ton of those guys, I'm fine. No core plays here. No one that I'm forcing in my lineups, but I do want some exposure.
Yeah, and you said it perfectly on that last line. Again, we do our core plays over at Run Pure Sports. You guys will get those. We're picking 3 of our plays for like our main lineup, or if you're building out an MME set or a 20 max, you basically can take those 3, heavily expose yourselves to them, and then trickle in, I should say, the guys that we're talking about otherwise. One thing I will say about this range, Hoop, is it's exactly what you said, the last line of if I don't get much of it, I'll just be okay with it. It's just because it's going to the structure and the roster construction that I like better. I can see where you can go down here to get unique in some lineups. Like if you wanted to play a Cantlay lineup in a different way, you could play Cantlay with a couple of these guys you feel good about, but I'll have that in the RPS Discord. We hang on to some of the stuff. Of course, this is a free show, but the reason I am, Hoop, is because I don't know, like I can't get a good ownership yet on Riley, Pendrith, Poston, guys that I think could be okay here and stand out, but the ones that I know will be lower owned, like Harman, McNeely, Keith Mitchell, McCarthy, those guys, I actually feel better about them trickling in as of now. We'll see on the other stuff. Last week in the RPS Discord, it was with about, I think, 10 hours to go. It was a fair enough time for people to get after it. But I said, I don't know why people aren't playing Keegan Bradley here at this price tag. And I know it was Montgomery was there, but I said you could even play them together. I put him into the tiers. He was my favorite player in that range. And he ended up coming, I think he came top 5. It was a good week for Keegan Bradley last week. And it all made sense. And the ownership was not there. Once I find that stuff out, I always pass it along and maybe make the core plays, at least the tiers on the site. So if you guys haven't joined us yet, runpuresports.com, get signed up. Now's the time. If you're just joining us, do us a favor, hit that like button on the way in. Helps us out a ton, keeps these shows free. And we got plenty more coming for you guys. Anything else in this 8K range you want to talk about, Hoop, before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, the main point for me here is none of these guys are going to be priorities. I want some. If I get some, cool. If I have to scale back on these guys a little bit, that's fine too.
Yeah, I agree. It's perfect setup for this range. Like you said, if you get it, and that's where just quick strategy thing. We talked about it yesterday on the pod with myself and Kenny, the Lister League winner for us last week, skipped the entire 8K range, which had like Wyndham Clark, Mullinex, All of those guys that were getting ownership, and there was a lot of FOMO there. I loved Clark last week. I did not like Mullinex as much as others, but my point was, you feel like, oh, if I don't play them, I'm going to miss out. You didn't miss out on anything. It was not required in your lineup. They didn't even make the cut. So that can tell you it's golf, right? That stuff can happen. Yeah. Go with what you believe in. But in this case, we believe in that roster construction where the stars and scrubs is just so much better and the drop off is massive. I think it's going to play out. Let's talk about the 7K range. You shit on my guy right out the gate. And it's not like a core play guy, but you did talk bad about Ricky Fowler. Maybe forgetting that Fowler has a new caddy. He's back with Butch Harmon, and last time out wasn't the worst, right? He came in 6th his last outing. So keep that in mind, Hoop. Now that he's back on the grind, he's digging in. He wants to get back into the mix. Any love?
No, I'm not playing Flower. I mean, I'm too dug in on Flower to start playing him. I played him, I think, one time last year, just disaster. I mean, anytime you played him last year was a disaster. So that's not saying much. I'll leave that to you. I don't mind the guy above him.
Hoop's a big lawn care gardening guy. He's saying Flower's dead. So he would take care of his garden if that was the case. But okay, no Flower. What else are you doing in this upper 7K range?
Detry, I mean, good finish last week, 7.9K. Cut maker, interested there. Mito at 7.8. Again, I like Mito long-term, 7.8 in this field. I think it's a very fair price tag for him. I'll continue to play Taylor Moore, 7.6K. Matthew Neesmith, I love myself some Neesmith, except when we we're at Uncle T or Big T's house, and he cost me like $50,000 or $100,000, like shooting like what did he shoot, like a 12 under and like a windstorm and totally
the worst weather, and he goes at the afternoon and shoots 10 under or something.
Yeah, it was so brutal. Your guy Nick Hardy, good finish last week, 7.5K. Interested there. Mark Hubbard at 7.4. Wyndham Clark 7.4. Chris Kirky finally. Where did he finish last week? He was up there, I saw, or at least decent, because it's been a rough stretch for Kirky. He finished 30th. That's not too bad. So I will have some Kirk at 7.3. And then I got my Canadian guys down here. Nick Taylor. Let's see, 7.3. We got I like a little bit Troy Merritt as well at 7.3. Svensson at 7.2 in play here for me. Hayden Buckley I like a little bit at 7.1K. Definitely playing Callum Tarrant. You know that. I mean, he's 7K flat. Yeah, good finish last week. Very interested. My other boy down here is Lee Hodges. I just, again, don't see much of a difference between these guys in the 7K range than the guys like above. So I do want some of those guys in the 8K, but not prioritizing. The way I'm building lineups, I think I'm just going to be down in the 7K range way more than the 8K range. Plethora of guys down here that I feel comfortable playing.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. I was just going to look something up quick, but just going down to this range, like here's a prime example. JT Poston is 8,300. Seamus Power is 7,600. Even in tournaments similar, like they played in a playoff at the Barbasol when Power won over Poston. There's just not much of a difference. This is like I like Poston, but if I get Power instead, what did I really do here? Like, to me, not that big of a difference. That's just one example. It doesn't really make it true. I'm just giving a sample of like where you can actually look at it and say, what's the difference, right? There's not going to be much. I'm with you on. So guys that I like definitely up front, Power, who I talked about, Mito Pereira. Hadwin has a really good history here. I'm playing for the double bounce back now, because before last week when we talked about him, it was about not making the President's Cup team when he wouldn't have anyway. But the point being, you think he would bounce back. He gets T45, but the other Canadians got fired up. You talked about Nick Taylor, T19. Svensson was in the mix for a while and then fell off over the weekend, but still he made the cut, T54, and scored well. And then Mackenzie Hughes goes on to ship it. But going back to Hadwin, TPC Lee, here, we'll see how the ownership shakes out on these guys. Love Neesmith. I'm not sure if you saw this, but had just an incredible Sunday to round things out, to get up the board to T9. I think he shot 8 under on Sunday, so coming in hot. Kurt Kitayama, Nick Hardy, those guys. One guy I worry about here is Hubbard. Great week last week, comes over, bad price, 7,400, but I think he's going to get like quite a bit of steam here because, again, we're in the swing season. The ownership's going to pop up. I love him. I think he's a great play on paper. My worry, Hoop, is if he becomes the guy that's like 15 to 20% to make all those stars and scrubs work. We just named like 15 guys and haven't even got through the full range for myself. You did, but there was like 15, 20 guys, and that's okay. It's just again, you'll have to worry about that with how you're building it, not who you play. It's how you build them. You can get different with Hubbard still, but I'm saying if you start on the same 3-4 chalk pieces and then, or sorry, 2 or 3 chalk pieces, and then land on Hubbard as a 4th, you may not be putting yourself in the best position to leverage your way up the leaderboards. Any thoughts on that with these guys down in the 7K range? Ownership wise?
Yeah, I mean, it's a range where, I mean, there's obviously a ton of volatility, and in swing season PGA, there's going to definitely be a ton of volatility. So yeah, I don't mind that call like at all. But you know, it's how you build these teams, and I'm going to be up at the top, and I'm coming down here because I know I'm going to have to be here. So I just got to play these guys.
The best part is you were describing your roster construction, like you're going to be using guys at the top, but you said, I'm going to be at the top. Like you're the confidence.
Yeah,
is just,
hopefully.
It's just dripping right now.
Hey, that's what happens when you win. Yeah, when you win. When you win the Millie Maker back-to-back nights, like nice. You know.
I love that. That was a great. I'm gonna be at the top. So I thought you were just saying, forget what Tambo just said on Hubbard. I'm gonna be at the top. Hubbard's in there, so be it. I was like, oh, this guy's just dunking on everybody right now, even me. But I like what you said there. I think that's perfectly true. And again, you're a big advocate for this, and I know it's true. I've seen it play out a million times. Where look. It's going to get spread no matter what. If he still is the highest owned, yes, there's something to be said. I think it matters more, like consider it matters everywhere, but really consider it, at least from my perspective, in your single entry. He's the guy. If you're in your single entry and you feel good about everything, but you still have him as like a 4th piece of a higher owned guy, you don't have to, but it's just what's really the difference with Hardy, Kitayama, Gary Woodland, Kirk. Pick your guy that you like. I'm just saying, I love your Merritt call. Merritt could be a great pivot there this week. We like him in these scoring events where you can go low, make birdies, all those factors. Good putter. I think you can find some guys here to pivot to. And again, there's just lots of other guys that you can use in this range. So other guys for me, Party Marty Laird does well. Steven Yeager just scores a bunch. So I'll always take some shots on him. Boom or bust, but in tournaments, Svensson, who you mentioned, Callum Tarrant, and then Joseph Bramlett right at 7,000. Another guy that I'll always play some of. I like your Buckley call. Like, again, this is where I want to spend my time in my roster construction, is using these guys in here, Hoop. But talk to me about the 6K range. Go to that and just see if there's anybody down here that you like, because you won't even be getting out the notebook for me this week. There's not too many names I'm going to give you because there's not too many that I like. And I think with how many we just named in the 7K range, I don't know how much you need it. We'll see.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable usually coming down here, and I am this week. But again, I plugged in Cantlay and Sungjae, and the average spot still above 7K. So like you can make it work without coming down here a ton. Some names that stand out: Goddard up. I mean, just an upside play at 6.8K. I think he's fine. My guy Chesson, I'll play Chesson for sure. 6.9K. I think he's a fine option. I have to play my guy Peter Malnati, 6.8K. Definitely fine with him. But then, Smotherman at 6'5". I'll be in on him. Nate Lashley at 6'4", I think is a play. Patton Kazire, 6'3". He's a guy that has the ability to go out there and score. So, I mean, those are a few of the guys. I'll probably add a few more once I really dig into it. But again, you don't necessarily have to come down here and if you only play one of the top guys, let's say you plug in Cantlay, you're hovering right around 7,800 for the rest of your spots. So like coming down here, not a necessity this week, but I'll probably play, I don't know, maybe 8 of these guys down here.
Yeah, and I don't hate that. One guy, standing out to me down here. So to your point of what you just said, Cantlay M, 71.25 per. If you find one of these guys, it doesn't have to, like, to me, 6,900 is 7K. It's the same thing. Yeah. They have to fill the pricing out some way, shape, or form. They're not going to put everybody at that. They could easily do that. They just don't. That's okay. My point being, there's not a big difference. Bo Hostler, though, coming off of 25th, 34th, 29th, 23rd, and 7th are his results here. He shows up every time. Like that. He's a good putter. He's 6,900. Well, now you have Cantlay, M, Hostler. My average went up to all the guys. We named like 15 guys in there, and it sounds like a lot to people out there, but if you're only picking your 6 or 7 guys down here, and then you got 15 to 20 in that 7K range, you're not going to get many of those 8K, and we get 5 or 6 up top. There's 144 guys in the field. We're playing like 35. It's just not what people think. It's just what they think they hear, and it's not true. We're building player pools on these shows by just the nature of talking through it, of like 35 guys. And it's like, oh, they're naming everybody in that range. It's not true. We're naming the guys we like. We're telling you how you can build it out. Listen to it twice. Go back, build the pool, what we said, see what the number is. It's not going to be what you think. And like we just said, that's a great strategy where picking one of these guys down here pumps you right back in to that mid-range 7K where that's what we want to do. So you don't have to do all can't lay Homa or can't lay M lineups. I'm just saying you could. So that's what I'm pointing out here. Patrick Rogers, not the best history here, to be honest, but if you want to just look off of, $6,800, the potential, the upside last week, anything like that, I think he's okay. For Telly, another guy that stood out for me. Adam Schenk in Birdie Fest can definitely be a thing. He's 6,500, can take some shots on him. And then going down, you mentioned it, like Patton Kazire, he can always show up. Other than that, though, man, there's just not too many down here. I do think this, though, Hoop, before we go sort of trying to get out of here quick, we'll spend the last 5 minutes on just a little preview of Live for the week, kind of bump these classic contests up. But the last thing would be, this has so many guys down here that we didn't talk about, and that's where, again, we don't mention them all, but you mentioned a couple, but Dafu, Carl Wan, Gotterup, Eckroat, Reevy, Norlander, Brandon Wu, Lipsky, Ryder, Duncan, Smotherman, all these guys. Kevin Yu is getting mentioned out there, where doesn't mean they're bad plays. My point is, though, everyone's trying to find the diamond in the rough, as I always say, of those guys. And when you start mixing in, that's the issue. When you start mixing in 10 or 12 of these guys, you're not getting enough exposure to the one you actually believe in. So play guys down here, but pick 4 or 5 of the 12 I just mentioned and commit to it. So at least you have enough lineups where if it is Kevin Yu week, you have Kevin Yu lineups, not a Kevin Yu lineup. The plural is much better in this case. So anything else you want to talk about down here, Hoop, before we move on?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, some of these guys in play, I like the ones that you added on. Probably, like I said, for my lineups, I'll probably have about 8 of these guys. Again, none of these guys will be in 30% of my lineups. It's just going to be small ownership percentages to get everything to work. But again, like you said, make sure that if they do well, you have enough of them to, make an impact on your week.
Yeah, that's what happens so often, right? Oh, I had Kevin Yu in my lineup, but I got everything else wrong. And how many lineups did you play? This week I did 20 max. Yeah. Well, why'd you play him in one? Just get him in your pool if you're playing him. So that's the last thing I would say. All right, what do you got for a winner and a long shot here? We can chat through it quick, and then we'll just look at Live quickly and get out of here.
Man, I just find it hard to imagine one of these top guys not taking it down this week on an easy course. Don't want to. I just think Cantlay win. If he wants to win it, he'll just be able to go out and win it. So him for sure up top, and then coming down, got to go with my guy Wyndham Clark. I like Wyndham Clark here as well.
Yeah, I'm with you up top. I did a full 180 because last night I thought with ownership, Cantlay just wouldn't be a strong play for me. Again, with the odds, it's fine. I like him, though. I'll go him against you. We've had these back-to-back winners. We talked about last week. Burns did not come through, but just an example of what we've seen in the past. He did come through at Valspar for the second time. Rory at RBC, KH Lee at Byron, like all these guys that have done it. So I actually like Sungjae here. I'm sticking with them. I'm a Sungjae truther. I like that. Some of the long shots I like down at the bottom. I bet a few of them, but like Kitayama, Patrick Rogers, Gary Woodland. So just to give you guys a few, I don't know how they'll shake out with ownership into all my lineups, but I definitely think they are interesting plays. Let's do this quick, Hoop. Let's look at Liv. I don't know if you got it up there, but Dustin Johnson, 11,100. There is a $20 on DraftKings, $20,000 up top. The field's only 3,000 entries. So again, it's not the best structure, but if you did want to play it this week, again, there can be an edge there. I'll have my Live player pool up on the website because I'm going to dive in. I think it's a chance at 20K. Don't have to play a bunch of lineups to get your edge and get after it. So anything you want to add here, anybody you've got thoughts on up top in the Live format this week?
I've played Live the last couple events, and I just think the right approach is to just jam these top guys as much as you possibly can. Dustin Johnson, Cam Smith, and Neiman, and then maybe a little drop to like Gooch. I think he's kind of turning the corner as well, but Dustin Johnson, Cam Smith, Neiman, I think you just want a ton of those guys. I mean, it's very likely that one of them's in contention or one of them wins this. So that's definitely going to be my approach. And then, the nice thing with Liv is you can like cut off some of these bottom guys too, like Pyatt, Ormsby, Morgan. You can just whack them right out. You don't have to worry about them. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Liv real quick is just, man, those top guys are just so much better than everyone else.
Yeah, I agree. And we're arm in arm on this one because I was just going to say that's the thing. And mid-range here is where I think the edge is in Liv actually is because, again, these guys are all the names that people are still hanging on to, but like Kokrak, Wolf, Varner, Brandon Grace won one of these events. So you go to that, you look at it, Lahiri, Stenson, like, he won. So you see Lahiri, got to the playoff, like all these guys. But for looking down at the bottom, you can play the other guys that we've liked in the past, like you Swafford, Bland, Kalkanjana has played well, and I like him here in his hometown, home country, I should say. Vincent, Perez, Perez definitely not, sorry. Matt Jones, though, there's other guys down there, and then Uline is a guy I really like. So if I had to pick two, one up top is going to be Cam Smith. Definitely going to continue with him. I think DJ for $200 more. The talk is pretty simple. DJ can lock up the 18 million bucks bonus or whatever with a win this week, I think. But I like Cam Smith. He's playing incredible. And then going down to it, Uline is the guy I like most. I actually bet him at 50-1. I bet Kalkanjana too. So if you want a quick little core, Cam Smith, Kalkanjana, and Uline, build it out from there. That would be the three guys that I would like. Anything else in the world of golf this week you want to talk about, Hoop, before we get out of here?
No, I think we're good. 2 events to kind of put some lineups together on during the swing season here. Absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, let's go, guys in the chat. Loving the plays. We appreciate all you guys hanging out with us. Again, if you haven't, hit the like button. Helps us out a ton. Get this video out there. On top of that, subscribe. Plenty more free shows coming. I'll be back at 2 p.m. Eastern with JSU and Big T talking about the week 3 game recap, not DFS, what happened in the games, what do we see? And of course, we tie it in with a good little look ahead so we can find some of those plays for next week. Last week, Hoop, I look back at my little list here. We had Gino, Lockett, Hawkinson, Penny, Dallas D, Pierce. That's like the main takeaways I had on the list. I did not build that lineup perfectly. So
that was it.
But you did. So
yeah, well, at least one of us did.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's what it's all about, man. Appreciate you guys as always. For Hoop, for myself, Toe Tag and Tambo, Simon behind the scenes. Simon, get us out of here, man.